Have you ever just looked at your life and felt like it's all just a bunch of random, chaotic events? I think we all have. Well, what if I told you there's an ancient way of seeing the hidden order in all that chaos, a kind of blueprint for growth and real achievement? Today, we're going to unpack that exact idea.
So let's start with the big question right here. Is everything that happens to us just random? Or is there a consequential, step-by-step pattern that, if we can just learn to see it, could help us navigate pretty much any challenge and build something that actually lasts?
You know, the source material just nails this with this quote. The whole point of education, of gaining wisdom, isn't just to fill your head with facts, right? It's to develop what's called a resolved mind, one that can cut through all the noise and actually see the cause and effect, the chain of events that turns that chaos into a clear path forward.
Okay, so how do we even begin to see this path? Well, the Vedic tradition gives us this incredibly powerful word for it, a term that really wraps up this whole idea of structured upward growth. And that word is Udgati.
Udgati isn't about some sudden leap to the top or a lucky break. Not at all. It's all about ascendance, this gradual, powerful rise that happens through a very specific sequence of actions. Each step has to logically follow the one before it. It's a deliberate, thoughtful process, not some single random event.
And here's the cool part. Udgati isn't some obscure, dusty concept. It's literally woven into the fabric of Hindu scriptures. You find it everywhere. In rituals designed for this very ascendance, in the symbolic progression of festivals, in the structured understanding of time itself, and maybe most powerfully in the great epic stories.
And that brings us to our main event for today, a story that acts as the perfect master blueprint for this entire process, the Samudra Mathanam, or the churning of the ocean. So let's dive into how this ancient tale brilliantly maps out the sequence of Udgati.
So the setup here is absolutely epic. You've got these two fundamental forces, the Suras and the Asuras, and for once they're actually working together. Why? For a single ultimate goal, Amrutham, the nectar of immortality. They are literally churning the ocean of existence itself to get something eternal out of it.
So, what comes out of all this massive effort? This is where the sequence gets so insightful. Now, you'd think the prize would pop out first, right? Nope. The very first thing to emerge is halahalam, a deadly poison. This represents those huge, unavoidable, seemingly unfixable problems you always face at the start of any great project. It's only after you deal with that poison that the tools you need start to appear. The means to sustain yourself, the wisdom to see the bigger picture, and the vision for new ways to grow.
And the sequence just keeps building. After worldly desires pop up and have to be managed, only then can the foundation for true prosperity, Mahalakshmi, be established. This great wealth then supports the rise of Chandra, which is all about having a healthy, clear mind, a good reputation, and credibility. And only after all of that is in place does the final prize, Amrutam, finally emerge.
Now this reveals the most crucial insight of the whole story. This isn't just a random list of things, it's a chain of dependence. The story is showing us that the ultimate goal, that immortality, is actually pretty fragile. It completely depends on having a sound mind and a good reputation. And that, in turn, can only be supported by stable wealth. And that wealth, it can only be built after you've navigated all those initial poisons and worldly desires. Each step is an absolute must-have for the next one. You can't skip a step.
So you might be thinking, okay, that's a cool old story, but what does it have to do with me? Well, the real power here comes when we realize these ancient sequences are actually super practical, modern blueprints. So let's look at how we can apply this exact template to the challenges we all face today.
I mean, this just illustrates the translation perfectly. Think about starting a business. What's halahalam? It's your initial bugs, the market rejecting your idea, those first big crises. And Mahalakshmi? That's securing your first round of real funding that gives you stability. And Amrutam, the ultimate goal? That's building an institution that can outlast its founders, a truly self-sustaining legacy. See? The sequence holds up perfectly.
So, what's the big takeaway here? It's this. When we really absorb these story-based templates, we stop just being walking encyclopedias of random facts. We actually develop the ability to see repeating patterns in the world, and that lets us think more strategically, plan better, and ultimately build things that have a much better chance of surviving and succeeding for the long haul.
So, I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. Whatever your next big challenge is, a personal goal, a project at work, a community initiative, take a close look at the chaos you're facing.
What ancient sequence, like the one we just explored, could be the hidden blueprint that shows you the way forward to your next great achievement?